Good day, guys. This is your tutor engineer. Today we're going to be doing functions, particularly a parabola and a straight line function. One of my students sent me this question, so I would like to share it with you. Okay, let's read it. It goes, given f of x is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c, and g of x is equal to mx plus c. So this is f, and then here is g, the straight line. If given that f of x multiplied by g of x is less than -1 for all the values of x. Let's just think about this for a moment. Let's think about this statement for a moment. So basically it means this statement where f is positive multiplied by where g is negative, you're going to get less than 0, meaning you're going to get a negative number, or vice versa, where f is negative multiplied by a positive g, you're still going to get a negative number. So we're going to be looking for these conditions here, these two conditions. So now let's look at the function there. You can see that the g of x graph is above the x-axis. So let's look at the x-axis as the reference line. So any line or any part of the graph which is above the x-axis would be positive, and any part of the graph below the x-axis, then it's negative. So this is how we're going to be looking at it. So just bear that in mind. So let's continue with the question. It says when x is between -6 and -3. So this condition is true when x is between -6 and -3, or where x is greater than 2. So now let's have a look at this. So it means here, if you multiply f of x and g of x between -6 and 3, now let's have a look at here and there. So if this is -6 and this is -3, that would mean just less than -6 here, all the values of x that are between this area. You have the graph of f of x being below the x-axis line, meaning it's negative. And up to from -3 up to, we can say from -6 up to -3, we have the graph of g of x being above the x-axis, meaning it's positive. So that statement is true when x is between -6 and -3. So that's one side. The other side is when x is greater than 2. You will notice that here, that's where the 2 is going to be, because after a 2 and all the numbers to the right of 2 which are greater than 2, we have the f of x graph below the x-axis, meaning it's negative. So it's actually negative where x is greater than 2 and all the values that is greater than 2. And then for the same area, the g of x graph, you'll notice that it's always going to be above the x-axis line, meaning it's always going to be positive. So that is what the statement is saying. So now let's read the question. Determine the value of a in terms of m, showing all workings. So what is the value of a? You will notice that there you have the value of a, you have a there. So that's what you're going to be determining. So generally, if you have the roots, the first roots of the parabola being -3 and the second one being 2, if you have the roots, the general way of finding the equation of a parabola, you say a multiplied by the first bracket and the second bracket. So the first bracket contains the first root. You're just going to flip the signs. So -3 will become +3, and 2 will become -2. So that's the first thing that you do. And then you have the a there. Now let's just simplify. Let's look for another point. because we've used all the roots, minus 3 and 2. You'll notice that the parabola also passes at point C over there. So we just need to find point C. Also, the straight line is passing through the very same point C. So this is the equation of the straight line. So basically we know that point C will be the x, or the y-intercept rather, for the graph of G. In fact, for the both graphs. So the coordinate would be 0, meaning x is 0. And then we're going to write C, that small c there. So these are the coordinates of C. Which coordinate you're going to be using on this formula? Now that you know x is 0 and y is c, we're going to be replacing them. So f of x is actually a y. So we're going to say a y is going to become a c. Then you have a, remember the x at point c is 0. Then plus 3, then the x is at point c is 0. Then you have something like this. So that will be now just the basic mathematics. 0 minus 2 is minus 2. So that will be c is equal to 3 times minus 2 is minus 6 a. Therefore a, we can just divide by minus 6 this side and this side. Then you find that a is equal to minus c over minus 6. Okay, let's just say a is equal to minus c over 6. Remember the question said you must write a in terms of m, so we are not done. Now let's have a look at something else. We have not used minus 6, you will notice. So we're going to use this point and point C to find the gradient of the straight line. So you remember that the gradient of the straight line, ym is equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Let me just change colors from here. I can call this x1, y1, and this will be x2, y2. So basically it means m will be equal to y2, which is 0, minus y1, which is c, divided by x2, which is minus 6, minus x1, which is 0. So this will simplify as m is equal to minus c over minus 6. M is equal to c over 6. Right? So remember what we said there. Let's call it equation 1. We said a is equal to minus c over 6 and m is equal to c over 6, right? So if you can multiply these both sides by minus 1, you'll have minus m is equal to minus c over 6. Now this looks like a. So that would be minus m is equal to a. So we've already written a in terms of m. So a is equal to minus m. This is the answer. So if you like the example, or if you like this lesson, please hit the like button and consider subscribing.